Welcome to this candidate debate brought to you by WillieNet and the Williamstown League of Women Voters. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan group of men and women dedicated to informing the voting public in the interest of our democracy. I'm Jennifer Howlett, a member of the Williamstown League, and I will be the moderator for tonight's debate, which features Andrew Fitch and John Barrett, who are running to become the Democratic nominee for state representative in District 1. For those of you who have not studied the district map of our state, District 1 contains the towns of Williamstown, North Adams, Adams, New Ashford, Lanesboro, Savoy, Cheshire, Clarksburg, Florida, Windsor, Peru, Hinsdale, and Hancock. I imagine there are some of you from each of those places here tonight. At least I hope so. Your state representatives are elected for a term of 2 years. Mr. Barrett has served 5 terms as state representative and is the current incumbent. Mr. Fitch owns and operates Steeple City Social in North Adams and currently serves on the North Adams City Council. Let me thank the candidates for being here tonight and for giving us all this chance to get to know you better. And let me also say how much we appreciate your service to our community. In a moment, you're going to hear directly from the candidates, but before they speak, I would like to briefly outline the format for tonight's debate. We'll start with an introductory statement from each candidate. This will be followed by a question and answer period where candidates will respond to questions submitted to the League in advance. There will be no questions from the floor. The candidates will have 2 minutes to respond to each question, plus an additional 30 seconds of rebuttal if requested. We will then hear closing statements from the candidates, after which I will give you the latest voter information provided by our town clerk, Nicole Beverly. So now let's welcome our candidates and hear their introductory statements. First, we'll hear from Andrew Fitch.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, to Williams College, to WillieNet, and to our host. But first and foremost, thank you to all of you. Folks, I'm Andrew Fitch. I'm running for state representative for the 1st Berkshire District because I want to build a bright, successful, and affordable future for all of our residents. Hi, including us, including all of us in this room. Look around us, folks. We have almost unlimited opportunities to make a difference around here. We have opportunities to build safe, affordable, and available housing for all of our residents. We have the ability to support our seniors so they may age with dignity in their home communities, to recruit and support young families to move into this area and help build a brighter future for us, to gain equitable support for our school systems and our roads, to rebuild our downtowns, to strengthen and diversify our economy, and to reconnect our communities with each other and also with the rest of the Commonwealth. But don't get me wrong, we have serious challenges ahead of us as well. Our region is becoming less affordable or unaffordable for many. Our population is declining. Our climate is changing for the worse. We are not flourishing, and our infrastructure is aging. The same old tactics that have been used over the past many decades are no longer working. We need fresh ideas, fresh energy, fresh blood, and fresh vision and fresh leadership, and I am the candidate for that. Folks, I am a 2-term city councilor in North Adams. I own a small business downtown North Adams, as was mentioned, Steeple City Social. It is a pride and joy of mine. And I'm a founder of North Adams Pride, a leader of First Fridays in North Adams, a leader of North Adams Chamber of Commerce, and somebody who is out in the community all the time. I am in the trenches with all of you folks. I understand, because they are affecting me as well, the realities of affordability in our community, of lack of economic investment in our community, of lack of transportation in our community. And the Northern Berkshires are my home, folks. I love the Northern Berkshires so deeply. I have put everything of myself into this community, and that is why I want to be your state representative for the 1st Berkshire District. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. So John, would you like to make your opening statement?
Yes, I'm John Barrett. I'm a native of Williamstown. Growing up here, went through Mount Greylock School, through those way back times when we first started out. But let me say this much. Across the Berkshire District right now, families are working harder than ever to keep up. They're paying more for groceries, struggling to find affordable housing, concerned about access to health care, and wondering whether their children will have the same opportunities that they had. These are not distant concerns. They are everyday reality of the people we are here to serve, and they are what is at stake in this election. I believe candidates should be judged not simply by what they promise, but what they've actually done. It is easy to say, I'm for this and I'm for that. The harder question is, how do you get it done? Throughout my years in public service, I've worked to bring resources back to our communities, strengthen our schools, support our rural economy, protect and expand health care, address the shortages of affordable housing, and stand up for families, seniors, and of course our youth. But getting results takes more than introducing legislation or making promises. It takes experience. It takes knowing how government works, building relationships, working with people on both sides of an issue, and bringing people together to get things done. It also means that when an individual or family needs help, when someone is having trouble with unemployment benefits, health care, housing, or dealing with a state agency, constituent service has always been one of my highest priorities, especially here in the northern Berkshire area, removed so far from the state capital. We face serious challenges in the years ahead, and experience does matter. The people of northern Berkshire know my record, and they know that I produce results, and they know the help I get through the many of our challenging times. From closing of factories and mills back in the 70s and 80s.
I'm sorry, your time's up.
Through the COVID crisis, I've always been there, ready to help, working to make sure that our communities not only survive, but thrive. This is the record that I bring to this debate tonight, and experience, leadership, and accountability.
Thank you. Okay. We'll now start the question and answer portion of the debate. And we'll start with John Barrett will answer the first question first. And that is, do you support same-day voter registration, and why or why not?
I do support it back to when I was first in the legislature, but I voted no against it for one simple reason. I went to the clerks in every one of the communities that I represented, and I said, can you handle first-day registration? The answer they said was no. They were unanimously opposed to it, and therefore I voted no at that particular time. Times have changed now. I can fully support same-day voter registration.
Thank you. Andrew.
I do, 100%, yes, and I do for many reasons, but first and foremost, it is so important that we are able to pull our younger residents into the fold, and oftentimes our younger residents need that extra support to get to the polls. Same-day voter registration, I think, would yield very positive results. It is not healthy for our democracy, for our region, to have a limited amount of people voting in our local elections. So I am very much in favor of this, and I would like to be able to find ways to work with all the different clerks around here to find what the challenges are that they're facing in doing this, and provide them the resources from the Commonwealth and from amongst our region to make sure that they are able to succeed in doing this.
Thank you.
Could I have a 30-second rebuttal, please?
Sure.
I want to point out again, there were not the resources in the past. There are now resources because a group of us said, if there's going to be same-day voter registration, it was the old thing, if the state requires it, the state must pay for it. They did not have the resources. They now have the resources because of the work we have done in the budget.
Thank you. Good. All right. Second question, closely related. Do you think that voters should be put on the inactive voter roll if they or someone in their household does not return the annual municipal census form? And you may go first on this one, Andrew.
Certainly, I do not. Sadly, that is indeed the case. Our city clerk in North Adams has been informing us of this issue. I think this is a disincentive to vote. I think it is a shame that it is that way. It is, however, the reality, and so I will support what the reality is. I just think having that extra step when you go in to vote, having to go over here and confirm things, confirm your address and everything, I think is an unfortunate situation, and I think that that provides a much greater load on the clerk and their staff and their volunteers for the day than same-day voter registration would.
Thank you. John.
Yeah, I think it's a two-pronged issue in the sense that when you have college towns like Williamstown and North Adams, you see numerous former students that are still on the voting rolls. They have to do better in tracking them. They should be changed, and it should be brought forward as to how we deal with that problem, because right now in North Adams on the voting rolls, we have some people that have been gone for 6 and 7 years. So it's an issue that has to be addressed, especially in college communities.
Okay. Next question. There are a lot of ballot questions on the upcoming ballot in November. Which two ballot questions would you like to see the voters pay the most attention to, and how would you like to see them vote? And John, I'll ask you to go first on this.
If I can think what they all are. I think the one that makes no sense is the cannabis issue of turning back the clock on that. That's just. Can you hear me now? I think that what I was saying is that one question that I would oppose is changing the cannabis laws that are in place now. That's like going back to the days of prohibition and trying to pull it back. That's part of our society today, and we have to deal with it. Could you tell me what some of the other questions are that you?
The public records law, the collective bargaining.
Okay, let me do the public records law.
Okay.
As far as the public records law goes, my concern is anything but emails. I have no problem with looking at records. I was a mayor for 26 years. We had it open all the time. My only area that is of concern would be with email. And I'll tell you why, because we have so many people that call our office that have serious problems, serious issues, you know, whether it be a medical problem, whether it be someone's in trouble with the law, whatever it may be. And there really seems to be a way that has to be simplified so that you can go and look at those particular records. But as far as that's one issue that I fully approve of it. I dealt with it for 26 years as a mayor in the city of North Adams. Our records were always open, and we never threw ridiculous charges at people, charging them $1 for records, stuff like that, or copies of it. We did 10 cents. We made it available to them at all time, and we never had a problem.
Thank you. Andrew.
Could you repeat the question one more time?
The
For
question
or against?
No, the question is, which two ballot questions would you like to see the voters pay attention to, and how would you like to see
Pay
them vote?
attention to, yes, absolutely. So actually, ditto to what Representative Barrett said. For the most part, recreational marijuana, I think that this would be devastating. We are in the Berkshires are kind of the breadbasket for in-state grow. If we were to lose recreational marijuana here, I think we would lose potentially hundreds of jobs in our communities at a time where we need more jobs, not fewer jobs. So I would love for voters to pay attention to that. I would also love for voters to pay attention to public records. I do think getting as much transparency as possible is really important. And I know that our legislature has not been perceived to be the most transparent. A lot of voters have asked for an audit because there is a lack of transparency, and I want to make sure that voters are paying attention to anything to do with transparency these days. And then, I think it was just two that you had said, right?
I asked you to pick two.
Pick two. Well, I'll go with those two.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Can I have a rebuttal to that?
Sure.
One thing that, when we talk about transparency in the legislature, when I went in there back in 2017-18, I made a commitment to the people that we would start opening up those records. And we have done a lot in the last 7, 8 years because a group of us has said there's no reason why we can't have a more open and transparent government. And we fought for that. And the recent legislation that we passed, I believe in May, we have opened it up completely in so many instances, including the audit. And the audit is a joke because I'll tell you right now, the same audit that we prepare at the state level, we do in the city of North Adams, the town of Williamstown, and every other community. And the legislature, both sides, the House and the Senate, agreed to an audit.
Sorry, your time is up.
And I want to make it clear, I have stated publicly that
And I need to
want
ask you
an
to
audit.
observe the time limit. Sorry. Any further rebuttal?
If I may, thank you.
30 seconds.
Yes, I'm well aware of conversations about transparency, about the audit. I do think that the audit is kind of a symptom of lack of functionality with our state government. I think if the State House were more open, yes, also more functional, more proactive, as I want it to be, I think that we would have a better time getting more transparency for folks and satisfying their needs so that we could find a resolution more easily. Thank you.
Okay. Next question. Do you support a comprehensive data privacy bill prohibiting technology companies from selling consumer data? Do you think it should include a provision to allow individual citizens, and not just the state attorney general, to sue large tech companies? And I think it's your turn to go
I think it is, yeah. To be honest with you, Jennifer Howlett, I will have to look into that a little bit more, but I am in favor of the nature of that. I used to work in the tech industry. I have grave concerns about the ethics of the tech industry these days and the use of all of our data, the advent of artificial intelligence collecting all of the data from us that has ever been out there and leveraging that for their own profit. I am in favor of at least investigating limiting that and regulating that. And I would be in favor of allowing individuals to also take action.
Thank you. John?
Yes, we passed this bill in the House, I believe, a couple of months ago. And the way it was explained, it makes it so simple for people to understand. As soon as you start having your breakfast in the morning, they start tracking you. They track you from morning to night until the time you go to bed, and they probably track you during your sleeping hours. And it's absurd. And we put forth a very strong bill. In fact, Tricia Farley-Bouvier, my colleague from Pittsfield, was the prime sponsor of that bill, and we worked hard on it to get it done and making sure that we included just about everything that you can. Did we leave some things out? Probably because of the complexities of it. And I do believe that citizens should have the right to sue, because I'll tell you, and I don't have to tell you anything, it's a scary situation out there. Everybody's being tracked.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Should public meetings that are covered by the open meeting law, such as select boards, city councils, and school committees, be required to have a remote access option for public participation? And John, I believe you're first on this.
Yes.
Well, you definitely made it under the 2-minute limit on that one.
I'll make it up, I promise.
Okay. Andrew?
I also think yes. I know from very recent experience as the chair of our Community Development Committee on the North Adams City Council, and as a participant in many other committee meetings and having served on different boards and commissions over the years, it is very challenging to meet that requirement. However, it is absolutely doable. We just need to create a system and make sure that we are providing the support for our town and city clerks and also our counselors and whoever else is running these meetings, so they have the support they need to get these Zooms or whatever remote participation software they're using up and running. Because our city clerk and we as counselors have definitely struggled with that over time. I just want to make sure that it's a seamless system. However, I'm absolutely in favor of this, and I think we can definitely do this.
Okay. No rebuttal. Next question, and Andrew, you'll be going first on this. What rules do you think the state should enact on the use of and access to social media by minors?
Oh, sure, gosh. Well, I wasn't expecting that question, but I'm glad that you asked it. I think about this often. I dwell on this often. I think about the way that our society is going and what ails it the most. And I'm a frequent user of social media, folks. Like with campaigns, for Steeple City Social, for my life in general, I'm on it all the time. I would love to not be. I think it is one of the things that ails our society the most. And I'm particularly concerned about our youth in this regard. I'm particularly concerned about them because social media came to me when I was in college. This was 2003, and I was one of the first Facebook users outside of Harvard University at the college that I went to. And my brain was already at least mostly developed by that time. What about those who haven't been? I'm very curious about not a specific ban immediately, but I am very curious about providing legislation and ideas to head in this direction and at least explore that option.
Thank you. John?
Yes, we passed legislation again in the House side of it, and we have to go to the Senate because they've written their own version of it. But we are coming down fairly hard that it should be a limit placed on the use of, especially in our schools, and also they're looking at an age of 14, I believe, to start banning it and put rules and regulations on it. It's a difficult thing, and we heard from our schools, we heard from parents when we drafted this bill, and they wanted to see changes made because of, you see it today, all the lawsuits that are taking place out there now. It's a dangerous situation for a lot of families, and children are being hurt by it. So we took the first step in it, and understanding the process, we did our version of it, it goes to the Senate does their version of it, and we come together in conference, which I think is going to probably happen later this summer or in early fall. So there is going to be a strong regulation, and especially in regards to children.
Thank you. Rebuttal?
Thank you.
Yeah.
One thing that I think is important to note is that another major issue that ails our youth is isolation in often cases. Lack of community, lack of support, especially lack of support of different kinds of people. There are a whole bunch of LGBTQI plus kids out there who are hiding their realities and their identities from their parents or their social circles, and might only be able to find those communities through online platforms. So that's why I'm saying too that we really need to be careful about what action we take.
I'd like to rebut back is that we also took that into consideration because we heard from the LGBT community and they told us what their concerns were, and we made amendments to that bill during the process to protect those kids. And I can't say enough good words about the legislature when they did this.
Okay, thank you. I think, John, you go first on this one. What is your position on death with dignity, the availability of physician-assisted suicide for patients in the state
I
of
could make that a
Massachusetts?
quick answer, yes. Okay, all right. My answer is, what? I'm going, I lost my voice. I'm going as loud as I can right now. But,
Have a drink of water.
yeah, I should have my allergy medicine.
Cheers, John.
I can think of something else. The question,
The question is death with dignity.
death with dignity. That's one of the first pieces of legislation that I talked about when I was elected. I met with a group right here in Williamstown Town Hall. I have been a primary co-sponsor of that bill since I've been in the legislature. I believe firmly in it. I can't tell you the number of people that I have lost, personal friends of mine lost, and they wanted that dignity with dying. And most of them, it was a case of ALS. And I firmly believe in, most importantly, is that you should have that right. And the way the bill is written, it says if that person can prove that they will be gone basically in 6 months, where the doctors think that they can have it. And I know a lot of my friends, unfortunately, are starting to move up to Vermont because they have that law. And there's no damn reason why we shouldn't have it here. I'm not a fan of ballot questions on a lot of times, but if it doesn't come back, it should come back as a ballot question. It was there in 2012, and I think it was a very close vote. And I think this state and other states should be ready to do it as soon as possible.
Okay, Andrew.
Dr. Kevorkian rises again. He's back. I am also in favor of this. In fact, it is so great to be in a commonwealth where we can really trust our medical system and our medical providers to provide valuable insights and regulations and protections to make sure that a course of action is the right one for their patient. So for these reasons, because of this trust in our system, I do believe that this is something that we should pursue. I was part of my late grandfather's end-of-life crew with my mother here, and I'm sorry to bring this up, Mom. He did pass away with dignity, but if his life had extended on and on and on, he probably would have been asking us for a faster, more respectful conclusion to his life. And for these reasons, this is very personal to me. I do believe in this, and I think that this is really important for people.
Okay. I think we've touched on this a little bit already, but we'll bring it up here because it's specifically stated. Andrew, you're going to go first on this. What is your position on the state auditor's effort to audit the legislature?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I am in favor of an audit on the legislature. So I'm well aware of this issue. I was one of many who signed this petition to get this on the ballot previously. I voted in favor of it. It has not been done. And I know the counter argument is that we do not want one branch of our government auditing the other branch of our government. I can totally understand that conflict there and that that's actually a dangerous precedent to set. However, I do think that the legislature can just agree to audit itself instead, to provide the voters what they actually want and get this done for the people, because it's an overwhelming majority of us who have voted in favor of this. So yes, I am in favor of at least that approach, and I think that is a responsible approach.
Andrew, we do audit. It's right on the state website where the legislature is, the last 5 years where it's been audited. And it has been audited every year because of that. What this auditor wanted was more than what was there. We voted a couple of months ago, when we started to do the opening of our process, that we would agree to the 4 things that she wanted. She went into court. The judge said to her, to the lawyer, "Are these the 4 things that you want?" And she said, yes. We put in legislation that gave her those 4 things that she wanted. Now, I'm a big fan of audits because I've had accused when I was mayor that I was going to Aruba in the winter and on the taxpayers' money. I believe in audits, and I believe that there should be an audit, but there is one every year. In fact, I'm chairman of the committee that sends the letter to her that says it's time for an audit. The letter I sent this year was, you may pick any auditing firm that you want, Ernst & Young or anybody else that's out there, to do the audits in accordance with what the judge said and what your lawyer asked for. So, you know, this is a big Republican thing as far as I'm concerned. And it's just a game, and it's a sad game that's being played, because I'll tell you right now, it's just ridiculous how far this off. But do I agree there should be an audit? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
I do believe that this is being driven by a Democratic representative, asking for this audit, and overwhelmingly Democratic voters, have been asking for this. I think there is more to go. There's more room to be more communicative, more transparent with our voters. We talk about this a lot in our city council, just about communicating more, pulling people to the table and making sure that they're actually getting what they want, because that's really the problem here. They're not getting what they want. We should give them what they want.
If I can ask you a question, Andrew, are you happy with the city or audit that's done with them, or that you look at every year?
Are we answering questions back and forth?
Actually, we're not.
There's 30 seconds, back and forth. That's my 30
You
seconds.
get to speak for 30 seconds, but demanding of the other, no. So,
I think the
Some other
question
time,
should be
John.
answered.
Some other time.
yeah, this is, we've got to keep moving here. So, all right, next question, and John, you'll be going first on this. Many people feel that limited infrastructure is causing rural areas like the Berkshires to lose their ability to attract businesses and young people that keep our economy viable. Do you agree, and if so, how would you address this issue in your role as state legislator?
What was the first part of that? I'm sorry.
Many people feel that limited infrastructure is causing rural areas
Thank
to
you.
lose their viability.
I agree with it, and we have been working in the legislature the past 4 years, maybe even longer with others. And we finally, this year, got $3 million back even for our district as far as Chapter 90 money goes. And we know what the potholes in our communities look like this year. So what happened is they changed the formula of how they would allot money to communities. And this is the absurdity that sometimes comes to state government, especially for those that are out here in the West. They were basing the amount of money a community could get on population, not on road miles, which is ridiculous. Can you imagine in Boston, they were getting more money, and the area was much smaller. In some of the other cities, they were getting more money to fix their roads. Now it's changed. They're basing it on an extra $100 million is in the budget to address this new type of formula that basically says the town of Williamstown, which has a lot of road mileage, a lot of it. North Adams, not as much, but Adams has a lot, and other communities in my district have a lot. That has helped them greatly, and that's a first step in providing money so that we can fix our roads and there can be planning out. But it is $3 million extra just in the first Berkshire district.
Okay. Andrew.
I am well aware of the issues of potholes in our communities. In fact, as a current city councilor, we get a lot of angry constituent calls. What are you doing about the potholes? That kind of thing. I understand that. That is a priority. That is a priority of mine as a future legislator as well. However, I am also very curious about upgrading our infrastructure in general, our transportation infrastructure in general. If we are going to rebuild our economy around here, strengthen it for the future, we are going to need more than just filled potholes. We're going to need better connections to our surrounding communities and the rest of the Commonwealth, and even further afield. We need to be talking about bridges. We need to be talking about bus transportation. We need to be talking about our airports. We need to be talking about trains. So these are the things that I wish to bring to the table and to advocate for as well, though I am definitely a key advocate for expanding our Chapter 90 funding formula coverage as well.
I'd like to add on to that we have created Mass Works programs in the state of Massachusetts. Most of our communities have applied for them and have received them, including the smallest town like Hancock, gets $650,000 to fix a culvert. We got $3 million for the town of Adams. There's other communities that I can't think of off the top of my head with MassWorks. Massachusetts and this administration and the legislature have providing more money than they ever have. In
Time is
fact,
up, please.
Williamstown has a big ask in right now, too.
Time is up. And interesting, we should mention trains, because this next question concerns trains. Mass DOT seems to be stalled on the matter of the Route 2 passenger rail restoration. What would be a good political strategy to get it going again? And Andrew, you're going to go first on this.
Wonderful, thank you. So, folks, I rode my bike across the state last year to advocate for this project. I know that Representative Barrett has also been an advocate for this project, which is wonderful, but we need more, and we need a lot more. What I would do immediately, if elected, is to pull together all of the different elected officials across the Route 2 corridor, to tie them together, learn what their specific needs are, learn what their communities care about, find the commonalities there, and bring them all together, because we will gain so much more strength by doing that. I would venture to say that we would probably attract, thinking about that corridor, 25% of the state reps in the Commonwealth are probably at least partially connected to that corridor. We could bring them together and advocate together for this and get it done probably much better and probably much faster if we were to do so. So that I would dive into immediately. Another sort of subset of that is I would immediately call Senator Jo Comerford, who started this process, this study, to study and to plan for what the route would look like. I would contact her, as I have already done. I worked with one of her team members back when I was advocating for this, and ask, what's the next step? What can I do to help? How can I collaborate with you? And to figure this out together.
Okay. John.
Yes, I was a co-sponsor on Senator Comerford's bill. We have done that, Andrew. We have pulled every legislator together that's impacted from here to Fitchburg, and getting them on board is, no pun intended, and getting them to the point where they're fighting for the money. I call there every month, the state, and ask them, what's the status of it? We're doing a study on the economic development piece. The one key thing that I got into this legislation for passenger trail is into the Compass program. And the Compass program is a pot of money for the western part of the state of Massachusetts, which basically says that we will do everything we can to create passenger service. And the only one that's in here from this part is the part that I got in, which the railroad, the Northern Tier Railroad is there. Another point that should be understood here too is why it's taking so long. The biggest problem with this right now is the Hoosick Tunnel. It's basically collapsing. So things don't just happen at the legislature. They just don't happen. It takes years sometimes. How many years did it take to build the Hoosick Tunnel? How many years did it take to build Greylock Glen? It just doesn't move that fast. But you have to be tenacious. You have to keep after them. And if you do that, it will work. Believe me, it'll work. We don't need any more damn meetings. We know what our problems are. Now we got to get them to do it.
Okay. Yes.
I think we need a lot more damned meetings to get this project done. I really do. I think there's a much more opportunity to collaborate across the Commonwealth. And I just mentioned collaborating with all the different elected officials across the Route 2 corridor. What about also the West-East Rail? You know, that is a project that is even further ahead of this, better connecting Pittsfield to Boston, through Springfield and Worcester, and all the way. That's also very important for a Commonwealth. How about we join forces and advocate for both projects together and strengthen the approach with that? I also just, I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good idea for 30 seconds.
I know.
All right. Next question, and John, you'll be going first on this. It's a little long, so. In the next legislative session, will you support and co-sponsor an act establishing Medicare for all in Massachusetts? That is, the MassCare legislation setting up the Massachusetts Healthcare Trust, which would fund a single-payer system in Massachusetts for all residents. Why or why not?
I have already signed on to that legislation, and I've done it for quite some time now, so that's my question. But I'm going to pick up, seeing I have this additional time, to talk about the railroad, the east-west. I have been to every one of those meetings that they've had with Congressman Neal and others in getting, excuse me, in getting that money moving so that we are going to connect. Right now, they're going from Worcester to Springfield and from Pittsfield and from Springfield into Pittsfield. Nothing's changed. That money's there. It's not going anywhere. So that's going to happen. But I explained when I described the Route 2 by Northern Tier, we want to be Route 2A, and you can be the main highway. But we'll still be able to get to Boston in less than 3 hours. And that's what I'm pushing for. Both of them. We're not in competition. We're working together.
Okay. Back to the healthcare issue. Would you like me to read the question again? Or
If you don't mind, just one more
Okay.
time.
In the next legislative session, will you support and co-sponsor an act establishing Medicare for all in Massachusetts? That is, the MassCare legislation setting up the Massachusetts Healthcare Trust, which would fund a single-payer system in Massachusetts for all residents. Why or why not?
Yes, definitely. And not only will I do that, I've already committed to doing that actually from some organizers that came and did a presentation in North Adams just about a month or two ago. I had a follow-up meeting with them. I said I am in, as all the other Berkshire delegates are. They've all signed on to that. A step further, however, than just signing on to that, we'll be diving in to try to tackle that problem firsthand, to dive into the leadership, to those amongst the legislators who are helping to drive that project forward, because it's not just going to take signatures on a piece of paper, and just saying, yes, of course we're for single-payer healthcare. It's going to take real leadership. It's going to take real energy and focus to get this thing done. And if every legislator is just signing on to it, I don't think that's going to happen in the near future. I would like for this to happen in the near future. I think this is a major need. I would love for it to happen at the federal level, of course, but let's get this started in Massachusetts soon.
The only thing I can add to that is I was a sponsor of that meeting that Andrew attended, not for long, but you were there, and have been pushing very hard for this. I think that if we don't address the medical healthcare system in this country, we're going to be in serious trouble soon. It's getting worse. It's not getting better, and I just can't imagine what's going to happen in January of this year.
Okay. One more.
Could I rebuttal? Thank you. Folks, I was at that meeting. I was at that meeting for as long as I could be, for a decent chunk of it, but I work all the time. I get my hands dirty all the time at my bakery and bar. I'm at as many events as I can get to, which is an extraordinary amount of events and presentations, and I'm very present, and I will always be that present and working very hard for you.
Okay. All right. That'll do it on MassCare. We have two more questions relating to ballot questions that we haven't covered already. And the first one is for the state primary elections. Andrew, you're going to go first on this. What is your position on changing to a single primary where the top two vote getters become the candidates for the final election?
Yes, certainly. And also, by the way, clarification, I will need to look into this a bit more, but I did take an initial look at it, and I do believe in this. This is something that I spent some time living in California in the past. They have this in California. I think this is something that can make things more open to more voters being able to actually participate in helping to make the decisions between candidates. And I think that's really important for our Commonwealth. If we're going to continue to strengthen and protect our democracy, we should continue to allow more access for more kinds of folks to help make these choices in our primaries.
Okay. John?
I think I'm against it. I know I'm against it. Basically what happened in California, it took them almost 10 days before they could get the results straightened out and everything else. And in this type of climate that we're in now, people don't want to wait that long, especially in a primary situation. But I'm opposed to it. I believe in the party situation, that there should be parties and there should be oppositions and there's that and everything else. And I think that would take a little bit away from it. So I'm opposed to that. But am I getting a headache over it? No. But I do think it's not a way to go.
Okay. The last question regards...
Could I?
Oh, sorry.
Is that all right?
I didn't see that. Yeah, go
Thank you, yes. Our current primary system very much favors incumbency. Thank you.
Okay. The last question with regard to ballot question 9, having to do with the repeal of the modernization of firearms bill. John, you would go first on that. What is your position on that?
Yeah, I don't have any position on that. What I have said from day one, as far as the firearms bill goes and the changes that we've made in the legislature, is that I've been a person that's tried to compromise for the time being as to how we move ahead. We have the strictest laws right now in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as far as gun controls go. We also have an industry out there that's basically a group of hunters and things like that. So you have to take everything into consideration. The last time around, we took more steps to improve the way that guns are tracked and everything else. We have, as I say, the strongest in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I voted for that. We made them stricter last time. I have a record that shows that I do. However, at the same time, I also believe that we have to look at the other side of things too. It's a compromise situation. In order to get that passed, sometimes you have to do that.
Okay. Andrew.
That is a tricky situation, and there are a lot of tensions and perspectives around it, and there's a lot of passion around this. I know this because I've been door knocking in a bunch of different communities in this district, and one of them was Lanesboro, and I had this in-depth conversation. I was met by a man at the door who was very upset about some of the recent provisions that were passed in terms of hunting access specifically for his underage niece. She was under the age of 18. She wasn't able to come hunt with him. He was very upset about that. We had a very long and robust conversation about this. And now, folks, I am very much for Massachusetts gun laws and gun restrictions. We do have the best in the country. If every state had the rules that we have, we would live in a much safer country, a much safer world. Unfortunately, we don't. But regarding strengthening our own laws, I'm very much in favor of strengthening them more. However, I would really love to have conversations with those who are passionate about this. They're latching on to specific issues that they think the Commonwealth got wrong, and I'm willing to have those conversations with them. But I am very much for protecting people from gun violence.
Okay. That concludes the question and answer section of our debate. We will now move to closing statements. And because Andrew went first on opening statements, John, you'll go first on closing.
First off, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for sponsoring tonight's debate, and all of you for being here. Tonight, you've heard a lot about the future. I believe the best way to judge a representative isn't by how long they have served, but what they've accomplished. Over the last 4 years, we've reopened the North Adams Regional Hospital, of which I was a driving force in the state end of it. We secured $4 million to stabilize our nursing homes here in Berkshire County, both in Williamstown and North Adams. We made major investments in Greylock Glen to create that environmental center that I've dreamed about for a long time. Brought in an additional $3 million to our communities through Chapter 90 road funding, and increased rural school aid to historic levels, and secured $1 million for the Hoosick River revival. Those aren't promises, they were results. To me, the future is now, not tomorrow. If you're still producing results, building relationships, and delivering for the people you represent, there's still important work to do. I hope my record has earned the confidence and respect, and I respectfully ask for your support on September 1st. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew.
Folks, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Jennifer, for hosting. I am so proud to be in front of you tonight, folks. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for considering me as your candidate for state representative. I want to revitalize our economies. I want to bring home equitable funding for our school systems and our roads. I want to strengthen our communities by providing better transportation. I want to get the many incomplete, partially completed projects around here finished. I want to get those done. I am 41 years old, not 14 years old, folks. I have been around the block. I have an incredibly dynamic career behind me. I have a master's degree in political science. I'm an accomplished local elected official, and I am also a small business owner and founder, and it is succeeding. It's hard every day, but it is succeeding. I have the skills, experience, and temperament and fresh ideas to succeed in this role, and together with all of you, I want to build a bright, successful, and affordable future for all of us. Please consider voting for me on September 1st in the primary. Thank you.
I have a few closing remarks, and then I will thank this very impressive crowd. I've done a number of these events, and this is by far the best turnout I've ever seen. I think that says something about the two candidates we have here before us. We thank them again for their continued willingness to serve our community, and we also thank WillieNet for streaming this and taping it for later viewing. The League of Women Voters will remind you that voting day is Tuesday, September 1st for the primary. I'm going to give Williamstown information here, but for those of you who are here from towns other than Williamstown, please check with your town clerk or town hall. It will be similar, but not exactly the same. So, in Williamstown, the polls will be open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. at the Williamstown Elementary School. You may vote early at Town Hall starting on Saturday the 22nd, or you may vote by mail as soon as you have your ballot in hand. Ballots are available at the clerk's office at the Town Hall. You may also request them by mail using the form, you might have seen this in your mail, which came to you in your mailbox. Please ignore the date on it, which says August 25th is the deadline. Our town clerk, if you think about the calendar, this is way too late to submit your request for a ballot. Please consider if you do this by August 20th. Let's see, I lost my place. You may request them using the form which may have come to you in the mail, which I just told you about, or you may find them on the town website. Please, your mail-in ballot can be put in the U.S. mail or delivered by hand either to the town hall or to the Williamstown Elementary School on Election Day. But also, again, if you return the ballot to the town hall and you use the drop box outside, you must return it by 4:30 or it may not be picked up. You can find the link to the ballot request form along with all of the practical information I've just given you on our town website, and I think in each of your towns you'll be able to do the same. The Williamstown website is www.williamstownma.gov. This concludes our candidate debate for the District 1 State Representative. In closing, I'd like to remind you that you can view or review this debate on WillieNet by going to www.willienet.org and searching on the word debate. We thank you for your interest. We hope that this information has been helpful and will be useful as you make your vote in the election. The League of Women Voters reminds you that democracy is not a spectator sport. If you don't know that by now, you wouldn't be here. But every vote counts, especially yours and especially now. Thank you again for coming.